What's up, everybody? Welcome back once again to Swanky Disc Golf. I'm super excited to be here with you. I am joined by Josiah today, and we are going to break down 5 discs that every intermediate disc golfer should try. If you are a disc golfer who's moving out of those beginning stages, you're looking for some new discs, maybe some less mainstream discs. Maybe you're starting to dabble in the world of drivers or tournaments and you want to try some new discs. You're moving into that intermediate category. This list is going to be for you guys. This is just a list of our favorites. I'm going to have 5. Josiah's going to have 5. So be sure to comment down below what your favorite disc is. If you're an intermediate disc golfer already and you're watching this, hopefully you maybe find a new disc. But let us know what your favorite discs are in the comments below. We love interacting with you guys and reading your comments. And of course, before we jump into it, don't forget to subscribe for new videos every single week. We also have a library of hundreds of videos and resources here on the channel, so be sure to subscribe and check those out. And without any further ado, we're gonna jump right into it. We're both gonna start with our number 5 disc. This isn't necessarily in a particular order. We love all of these discs, but we're both gonna start at number 5. And I'm going to have Josiah go first. What do you got for us at your number? You're good.
Well, I was going to say, like, hold up. What do you mean they're not in order? Mine are definitely in order.
Or yours in order. Okay.
But yes,
Josiah's are in order.
No particular
Mine are
order.
Not necessarily in a particular order. Okay.
It's more
Josiah.
like the last one I will mention is probably my favorite intermediate disc that I've ever found, because I consider myself
there you go.
an intermediate disc golfer. So in that case,
absolutely,
that is the best disc that I've ever
did save
found.
my favorite kind of for last as well. I saved it's my personal favorite, but really they're all just great discs. So Josiah, what's your number 5?
Yeah, number 5, kind of semi-popular as of late. I'm going with the MVP Detour. Now you might be wondering, Josiah, that is a flippy disc. What do you mean intermediates need to throw it as opposed to a beginner? And I think that having straight to understable mid-ranges is actually very crucial for intermediates game, because a lot of beginners will throw a flippy disc and they're learning how to throw, and then they go, oh, I can throw better. Now let me throw, like, they move from the Buzz SS to a Buzz or a Mako 3 to a rock, and they're still throwing just something, and they kind of feel like a need to move up in stability. And I think intermediates need to utilize flippy items as well, just because I think it helps a whole lot with maintaining highs or flips, especially at that mid-range level. That's still where you're learning form, still learning how to throw, like, with higher power, higher speed. And so being able to have a flippy mid-range where you can still flip it up and then maybe get a little turn, or just trying to get something that can flip up and go straight, I think is super important. And I think the MVP Detour is a really good disc for doing that. So that's going to be my first option for a must-have for an intermediate.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And something I find in beginners very often is that they kind of skip the understable mid-range, because there's so many popular... You have the Buzz, you have the Rock, you have, the Hex now too, but you have so many popular straight flying to slightly realistically overstable mid-ranges that are the most popular ones, and those are the ones they gravitate towards, especially the Buzz, my favorite disc of all time. But it's not as beginner friendly, genuinely, and so I feel like understable mid-ranges get skipped so often, and nothing's going to show you errors in your form like an understable mid-range. Understable putters too, but with a mid-range you tend to really rip on it. You throw it hard because you need a little bit of distance, and it's gonna react in a crazy way if you don't have good form and you don't know exactly what you're doing. It's such a good way to practice your form.
And most people, when they start feeling a little bit better in their form, they're like, oh, let me move up to 7 and 8 speeds, and they get the flippy 7 and 8 speeds, but then they're like, oh, now I just need a stable or a more stable straight flying mid-range, and just skip that whole understable mid. So I've considered that a huge asset to my just disc golf playing, 100%. Is to have an understable mid.
Yes, especially for all you woods players out there, pick up an understable mid. The Detour is a great choice. Newer one, kind of now. Newer one, absolutely love the Detour. I'm also sticking in the that specific trilogy family. I'm going with the Axiom Tempo as my number 5. The reason I chose the Tempo specifically is because it's kind of the new kid on the block as far as overstable, at least comparatively to things like the Zone, the Pig, even the Tactic, or things like that. New kid on the block, and it's very different than a Zone. Specifically the Zone, most people in the world think of an overstable approach disc, and they think of the Zone. The Tempo is going to be a little bit less overstable, a little bit more glide. The numbers are 4.40, 2.5, and you really can, I mean, if you just throw these two discs side by side, it's a pretty dramatic difference in stability with the Tempo, but it still works for that slot. It even works alongside it pretty well, but the Tempo is a more unique disc. I think it's almost going to be more friendly to an intermediate player's game than you realize, like more friendly than a Zone probably would be. This is coming from a Zone truther, and sometimes you do want those like just dramatically overstable discs for a variety of different situations, super windy, super crazy dogleg turn, but very oftentimes you're throwing the Zone like you would want to throw a Tempo, and if you just put a Tempo in your hands, it's going to unlock a few shots for you. It's going to unlock like a little bit more distance out of those forehand approach shots, but similar fade. It'll always fade. It just won't fade quite as hard. It might not flare skip as much, or it might not bite into the ground and roll as much. I really like the Axiom Tempo, think it's underrated, and they're just now starting to roll out stock runs and stuff like that. We have these really sick Jeremy Colling Tempos. Their graphic design team does an incredible job.
Oh, yeah.
So the Axiom Tempo is going to be my number 5. Again, a lot. It's like MVP Axiom is probably one of the most popular among actual like hardcore disc golfers, probably one of the most popular companies right now. But the Tempo is still, I feel like, much lesser known, especially among the beginner community, than these other discs, and it deserves some credit. Axiom Tempo is my number 5.
Yeah, kind of going off that a little bit, and I'll explain in a second. Is so my number 4 is going to be the Discmania P3X.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Also
shout.
kind of a newer disc. I feel like it gained a lot of traction when it first came out, but you don't hear too much about it anymore. I think it came out with the Discmania mystery boxes when they did the stones. That's when it gained a whole lot of traction as one of the stones.
Yes, that is right.
So that's I think when it was first getting initially released, and it kind of. I mean, Gannon was throwing it and advertising it, and then you don't really see a whole lot of people doing that. So the reason I say kind of going along the Tempo is because you kind of described what the P3X does for me at 10,000 feet in elevation in Colorado.
Yes, yeah.
So it's going to have a little bit more stability. It's not a Zone. It's not like I throw a Tactic as my approach disc. It's not going to have that kind of stability, but it is going to be something where it's like, hey, it'll still fight the wind. It usually fades. I'm not forcing it over or flipping it over. However, for most intermediates playing at sea level, which is the majority of the country, it still is a really good straight flying putter. I prefer shallower discs as far as hand feel in my putters and mid ranges, and the P3X really fits that bill. You'll look at a lot of, I think it's the Hope by Latitude, or like the P2, and a lot of other throwing putters have a lot more deeper rim than I prefer. And so the P3X, if you prefer kind of more of the shallow feel, similar to like an Envy or a Proxy, that kind of shallower hand feel, then the P3X is a really good option. And it's also beaded. And I know some people don't love throwing beaded putters in mid ranges. I actually kind of prefer it. I don't know why. So
wow, yeah,
So if that's something you like in the hand feel, and that's kind of what it is, the P3X I think kind of flies under the radar because most people don't like those aspects of throwing putters. But that's one of the reasons I love this as a throwing putter. So that's going to be my number 4.
That's a great pick. I remember the one you're talking about. We had a pink one, like pink. P3X.
Yeah, it's in my bag.
Discmania mystery box. Yeah, there you go. I was just looking for it, and I was like, do I still have that?
No, it spent its time at Lake Dillon on Sunday.
Nice, yes. Great disc.
Yeah.
I liked the flight of that a lot for like a overstable-ish throwing putter. Super cool. And I feel like that's another thing not a lot of people throw. I mean, you have, I feel like more advanced amateurs and pros do. They throw a lot. You see a lot of like PA3 throwers.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yes.
And P3X is up there.
Yeah.
Such a good disc. Great choice. My number 4 is going to be the Clash Discs Cookie. I freaking love the Clash Discs Cookie, and it's growing in popularity a ton. Clash Discs is really putting themselves out there with these very unique designs. They have the tone plastic, the ring plastic, plenty plastic now. Their plastic's incredible. The reason I'm putting the Cookie on the list specifically, I feel like the 7502 slot is one of, and I've said this a couple times on the channel, 7502 are some of the just best flight numbers you can possibly pick up and throw as an intermediate amateur disc golfer. It's going to be so reliable for you. You're going to be able to get a lot of straight flight, like a really long distance, especially if you're only throwing around 300 to 350 feet. You're going to be able to, like, your max distance is 350. You're going to be able to get a lot of straight flight out of a 7502 and then a reliable fade, like a very consistent, reliable fade. You're going to be able to throw it on like baby Anheuser, and maybe it's just because I play in the woods a lot, but I find 7502 discs to be just so beautiful. They're so good. And the Cookie is a very unique one. You, of course, have the T-Bird. You have the Athena now out of Discraft. You have the Instinct from Discmania. There's countless 7502 discs. The Cookie is unique, has this very smooth, rounded rim to it. We've talked about that. There's a few discs like that. The Innova It has that kind of rounded rim. It's a very unique hand feel, and for some people, it's gonna be, you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is what I have been looking for. So I feel like you should at the very least try it. And that's what this video is called, right? Top 5 you should try. You should try the Cookie because it might unlock something for you that you didn't have before. And that is that very comfortable, smooth rim. And if you like that, you can pick up the Soda, which is like the same exact disc as the Cookie, except for understable. They make such a good pair. And just general 7502 discs is probably, aside from maybe the Buzz, my most thrown disc in my bag. Super reliable. You get good distance out of them. They always fade. You can throw them on Anheuser. You can throw them flat. You can do really good pushing hyzers with them. Just really workable numbers. But coming from somebody whose max distance is like 350, 375 on a really good day, that's like, this is the bread and butter of that distance. So the Cookie is my number 4.
Yeah. Also, kind of going along that, my number 3 is the DGA Pipeline, which I believe is,
there you go,
8502.
Yep.
However, I think it flies nothing like the flight numbers.
Nothing like those numbers.
Nothing like those
it's
numbers.
Much more understable.
Much more understable. So, but going along the same lines with what I said earlier about the Detour, having an understable fairway is super helpful. It's just a really utilizable, I don't know if that's even a word, it's a
utilizable.
You can utilize it really well in a lot of different scenarios. So it works as a hyzer flip, it can work as a pushing hyzer, or if you need a turnover in my experience with it. It's one of those discs that I lost one and immediately went out and bought another one. And then I lost that one. Yeah. So I stopped buying them. So I don't have one right now.
But that happens. You lose them because you throw them so much.
Yes, so much. So, and I just didn't have a backup for it at the time. Most of the other discs that I throw a lot, I now have backups for, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
But the DGA Pipeline, super great. I think that when I was a beginner, you would throw a lot of mid-rangers because that's what people told you to throw, was only mid-ranges, even though you were pulling out that destroyer every time anyway. And then you learned, oh, I actually need to learn form on a mid-range. So you did that. And then you're like, oh, I'm advanced. And then you move up to the 12 and 13 speeds again. And I still think throwing 7 and 8 speeds need to be utilized a whole lot more by intermediate players. Because once you can throw your mid-ranges like 280 to 300, you're going to throw those fairway drivers 320 to 340, and your 12 speeds might go 350, but you're getting, 10 feet
maybe.
For less control. And so the DGA Pipeline, I think, allows you to get that easy distance as an intermediate without trying to force a 12 speed to do what you want it to. It's very easy to get the distance with the pipeline without putting a whole lot of effort into it. And I think that's what intermediates need to focus on a whole lot more, as opposed to throwing 400 feet. Because once you start throwing enough, like if you can get the DGA Pipeline to 350, you're going to get, it's not that much farther to 400. It's just going to put in, like, you have to put in the work no matter what. So I think the DGA Pipeline helps a lot with that.
No, I like that pick a lot. I think it is much more understated. I remember having a Shasta Chris
that's the one
pipeline when I was like a genuine beginner and I had no idea what the flight numbers were. And it was a full like flip up kind of disc for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy. This disc makes me feel like I can throw so far. It's one of those kinds of discs where you pick it up and you're like, wow, this is awesome.
It really is.
Yeah. Great pick. Moving on to my number 3. I have the Discmania Origin is what I'm going with. The Discmania Origin.
Nice.
And this is your classic 5.5 -1.1. I think it flies actually like those flight numbers. It's hard because I think the most popular disc in the world, the Buzz, which is 5.4 -1.1, flies pretty overstable for those numbers, especially like the really nice premium plastic ones.
Oh, yeah.
The Origin genuinely flies, because when I pick it up, I'm like, whoa, this is way more understable than 5.5 -1.1, but it's just because I throw a Buzz all the time. And the Origin actually does have that little bit of flip up to it, the little bit of turn if you throw it flat, whereas the Buzz, like, you kind of have to, for me, I have to get it kind of beat in for it to actually have a -1 kind of turn to it. The Origin really flies like its number suggests, 5.5 -1.1, and it's just lesser known. It's been around for a long time. It's an incredible mold out of Discmania. They're part of House of Discs now. The plastic on the Origin has changed maybe a couple times, but now it's always been phenomenal. But now you know exactly where it's coming from. It's phenomenal plastic, and it's just, I feel like, on the edge of society, especially with MVP Axiom having the Hex, and the Hex is so popular and so good. And I put the Origin right up there next to the Hex as one of the best straight flying to maybe slightly understable, but straight flying mid-ranges in the game. It's so good, and I feel like a lot of intermediate players pass over it for something like the Buzz or the Hex now. And so really, I'm not saying the Origin is the best straight flying mid-range in the world. I'm not saying it's better than the Buzz or anything like that. But for the sake of this list, if you've never tried an Origin, and as a disc golfer, we all know that sometimes you just pick up a disc and you're like, this is my favorite mid-range ever. And it's kind of an inexplicable quality. I can give you the measurements of the discs. The truth is, every company out there has a 5.5 -1.1 disc. But they're all very slightly different to where you might not be able to quantify what your exact reason for liking it is. But the Origin might be yours, and you've probably never tried it because it's not as popular. So that's one of the main reasons I'm picking it for the list. The Origin's great. Shout out to Overthrow Disc Golf. They've been Origin truthers for a long time, specifically Josh, I believe. But the Origin, so good. Shout out to our Disc Golf Survivor Series, where the Origin played a major part. If you've never seen, we have a whole season of Disc Golf Survivor. If you're a Survivor fan, go check that out. A lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But that's my number 3, is the Origin.
Yeah, big fan of that pick. Origin might be one of the oldest discs that I have in my bag, like right now. So it's been in my bag a long time. Big fan.
Kyle Klein tears it up with that thing.
Oh, yeah. So I think that's one of the things where it was like, I saw him throwing it, and I went, I don't need to take that out of my bag. Pros throw it. So.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. Number 2, staying on the Discmania hype train. I am going to double up with Discmania on my list because I am going with the DD.
Nice.
Which of the Discmania distance drivers will be their most flippy distance drivers, not to be confused with the way Innova or Prodigy does numbers with the names of their discs. So DD is, I believe, a 12 speed. But I honestly don't know if it's an 11 or 12 speed. It's one of those discs that
it's an 11 speed.
It is. It's an 11 speed.
Are you saying the DD?
Yeah, the DD. Yeah. So my whole point is I've been throwing it for a little over a year now, not knowing what the speed of the disc is. I know what the disc. Yep. Yeah, I know what the disc does. I know it's a distance driver, and I know what the disc does, and it does what I want it to do, and that's why I like it. So, not knowing, I feel like a lot of disc golfers, especially once you get into intermediate, they pride themselves on knowing what their disc's flight numbers are and what the flight numbers are supposed to do and how it compares and what the plastic difference.
Yeah, we need to get back to flight numbers don't matter.
And all of that. And yes. Yeah. And that is literally the whole point of the DD to me is I know what it does at any given moment. I know what it does in the wind. I know what it does, on different angles, and I know the distance it can give me at any given point. So, so I think it is a hyzer flip disc for me, even at elevation. And so if I'm ever looking for, something I want to hyzer flip, if I want to throw flat and turn over, I think this is when you get to the kind of more advanced stages of intermediate disc golf where you're trying to throw at pretty hefty distances with turnover. That can get pretty difficult for some. And I think this helps with that a lot. Or if you're just like, hey, it's a wide open hole, I need some distance, I know I can throw this on hyzer, it's going to flip up and go straight, it'll flip up and maybe turn over a little bit and then come back, but it's never going to like crash and burn if you're throwing it the way you always throw it. So I feel like it's, again, you can utilize it in a whole bunch of different ways, and I really like that disc as a distance driver because, again, like I mentioned, I don't think even intermediates should be pushing towards those 12, 13 speeds. So I think this is a really good option for when you are trying to push, over 350 feet in distance. It helps a lot.
Yeah. I bag a DD. The numbers are 11.6, -3.2.
Okay.
Which I think makes it unique. It is an 11 speed. It is very understable. But because it's a higher speed at that 11 speed, you really have to get it up to that 11 speed for it to do its thing. And as amateurs, we have a hard time doing that. And so it gives you a really good S-flight. Like, it will flip up, turn really hard, and come back. If you throw it as an intermediate kind of disc golfer, I'm almost ashamed to say probably some of my farthest throws I've ever thrown is with a DD because I'm a noodle arm and that's how it goes.
No, but for sure. Same.
Not to say that I can throw 400 feet, but I have birdied hole 1 at Coval's College where we play sometimes with a DD, and it's like the only disc that I can get there. It's like 415 feet. I can get in the circle. Not always. I've birdied it maybe once or twice out of the couple dozen times I've played there. But it's like, that's my one play is to throw a ton of hyzer DD way out to the left because there's a river right next to the basket. I throw it way out to the left and watch it turn all the way back and then kind of fade a little bit at the end.
That's awesome.
And it's almost like shame to say it, but I don't know. It's like you said. I could throw, if it was a blind throw, I'd be like, I wonder if that was a thrasher. I don't know. It could have been a thrasher because it just flies like that sometimes. It's such a good disc. And you shouldn't be ashamed to throw it. If you have a faster arm speed, it's going to roll. It's going to roll really hard for you. If you're throwing like over 400 feet, this is a roller disc almost exclusively. But I like it. Great pick. I bag one. I have a backup because it's just, unless it's windy, I don't throw it in the wind down here. But on a windless day, it's great.
That's a good point. Sorry, I did do all of my explanation based on 10,000 feet. So
where he's at, 10,000 feet
it might fly
elevation.
more like a Grace or something like that. Is like for what you throw a Grace is probably what that disc does for me. So
yes, Josiah doesn't have to mention it. I'll mention it for him. Josiah recently shot a 1,000 rated round at Lake Dillon. Me and Josiah both consider ourselves very amateur disc golfers. But Josiah at Colorado State Championship shot 9 under at Lake Dillon. Definitely, I mean, I assume the best round of your life.
Oh, by far, by far.
But he shot 1,000 rated at Lake Dillon, 10,000 feet, and these were the discs he was using. So there you go.
Yes.
Awesome. The DD is a great choice. When we were up there, we have a video on our channel. You can check it out. It's called How Disc Golf Changed Our Lives. We played at Lake Dillon. I was throwing the DD a lot, and it worked great.
Yeah.
Nice. Great pick. I'm going to stay in the very understable category and move on to my number 2, which is the Ozone from Trash Panda.
Okay.
Couple reasons here. Number 1, Trash Panda, near and dear to our hearts. Such a cool company / YouTube channel / family of people over there. Jesse headed up the company. He headed up the YouTube channel, and he started making discs out of recycled plastic in his garage. If you've never heard of him, started 5 years ago, just learned how to make a disc on his own. I mean, he got a lot of help from the community, but in his garage made a disc from fully recycled plastic, and that's been his vision ever since. And now he has a full-fledged disc golf manufacturing company. And so part of it is you just got to try the discs. It's such a unique plastic. It's unlike anything I've ever thrown before. And he continues to improve upon it year after year. So you, in 2025, are able to reap the benefits of 5 years of experience in this recycled plastic. The Ozone specifically is my favorite disc in the lineup. I feel like it came along later in his process to where he's a little bit more dialed in now with making these recycled plastic discs. And it's just the most fun disc that in the world. The numbers are 8, 6, -3, 1. Again, a driver. You have to throw it kind of hard to get it to do this crazy flip and turn thing. As an intermediate disc golfer, obviously, if you're an MA1 player or a professional, you don't have to throw very hard to get it to do that. But as a beginner, intermediate player, you throw it, get it up to that 8 speed, and watch it just do the whole tagline for his marketing for the Ozone was throw the fun line. And that's what it's for. That's what disc golf is about, especially if you're an intermediate kind of disc golfer. Pick up an Ozone. I absolutely love it. Pick up anything in the Trash Panda lineup. Most recently, the Canyon Overstable Midrange. Great lineup. Ozone's my favorite. Personally, it's my favorite disc out of all of them. And you got to try it. You got to at least try it.
Yeah, that's a great pick, the Ozone. Ironically, that was the players pack for the Colorado State Championships was the Ozone and the Canyon were the two discs that we got. So
yeah,
really good options. I really like both of them. I haven't thrown the Canyon yet.
He has a starter set out there where you can get the inner core, the Dune, and the Ozone. There's also a video on our channel you can check out where we make an inner core made out of recycled phone cases, and then we play a challenge with Jesse in Denver, Colorado. You can check that one out on the channel as well. Yeah. Continue with yours. You're on number 1 now, right?
I am on number one, and this is probably my favorite disc I have found as an intermediate player. And I found it when I lived in Georgia before elevation.
Nice.
And so then I found it to still be useful here. So they're like, just because I'm talking about discs that may do something completely different for me than at most places at sea level doesn't mean that they can't be utilized in different situations. So my number 1 is going to be the Mint Discs Grale.
Grale.
Which
love it.
Kind of similar to what you were mentioning earlier with the cookie. Is your explanation on the cookie is basically what it does for me.
Yeah.
It's that 7502 flight out here for me, even though the flight numbers are -1, 2. So when I do travel, this is still kind of my, if I'm bringing a limited bag or I can only bring a handful of discs, this is still the one disc driver that I choose first because I can utilize it basically in any scenario. If I'm playing at elevation, it's going to be stable. If I'm playing lower, it can be a flip up hyzer. I don't remember it turning a whole lot. Luke, you might be able to attest to that if you've thrown that a whole bunch. But for me, it was always just a really good hyzer flip with a guaranteed fade at the end. And I think that might be the intermediates kind of go-to game, is being able to hyzer flip and get it to come down. And especially because a lot of intermediates either start playing backhand or forehand and they have really good strengths. And I think this disc can be utilized with the torque resistance of a forehand as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know a lot of
yes.
intermediates who throw forehands are throwing that chopping forehand or hyzer flip only, and I think this is one that kind of helps those intermediates that may not have a backhand and throw a lot of forehand, and so they can still get some good forehand distance without turning it over completely. So I think this utilizes basically any intermediate player at any ability, and whether they throw backhand or forehand.
Yes. I didn't mention that with the cookie. It's also one of my favorite forehand discs in the world. So controllable. The Grale, same thing. Very similar flights. The Grale is just going to be a tick more understable. They fill a very similar slot, and I think you just take your pick. It reminds me of, there's something called the Castaplast Idog. Came out not too long ago. 7.5, negative 0.52. So very, very similar to the Grale. Very, very similar to those normal discs. They all fly so similar, but with little differences. Very similar purpose, though. And you just pick your favorite and roll with it. And the Grale is a great choice.
Yeah.
Phenomenal plastic. I love the Grale. I love it. Great choice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Moving into my last disc. I want to again remind you guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you're enjoying the content. Let us know if you would like to see more videos like this. And let us know what your favorite disc is for intermediate disc golfers. Or if you're a budding beginner, let us know what kind of discs you've been liking to throw recently. And let's get into it. Number one, so I will preface this by saying 2 years ago now, we did a video called Top 10 best discs for intermediate disc golfers. It's gotten kind of, not outdated because those discs are still phenomenal. A lot of new discs on this list that we didn't talk about on that list, but I'm going with my same number one because I think it's so good. Nice. I apologize. It's the Discraft Anax 10603. Incredible disc. I want everyone to try it. I feel like it's super underutilized amongst the intermediate players. For me, I throw it kind of like you would throw a Firebird, except for I'm getting a little bit more glide, a little bit more distance, a little bit less bite. You could still bag a Firebird or a Raptor alongside it. It's just, for me, you get similar to the cookie. You get more distance out of it, but you get very, very straight flight and then fade at the end. Like really consistent fade, but such a long, straight flight again, I play in the woods a lot. There's a lot of oh, this hole is 275 feet straight and then 50 feet to the right. And so I throw this disc on a forehand and it just stays so straight for 275 feet and then fades to the right so consistently, and I love it so much. And the 10-speed rims, super underrated. I mean, obviously you have some really classic Innova discs, some really classic Discraft discs that have 10-speed rims that people love, but a lot of new beginners and new intermediate players, as of the past couple years, I feel are missing out on those 10-speed discs that I think are great. And I think if you're looking for an overstable distance driver, this is a great start as your first overstable. I am not a beginner. I've been playing for a few years, or however long it took you to get to intermediate level. You're ready for a truly overstable distance driver. Anax is a great first stop. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, let us know in the comments below what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay swanky.